At first glance, it looked like a routine family matter unfolding behind palace walls, but what reportedly happened inside Windsor Castle has triggered a far bigger conversation about power, loyalty, and the future of the British monarchy. Because if Prince William, the future king, truly ordered the removal of Queen Camilla's grandson while princess and quietly watched without objection, then the real story may not be about one person leaving Windsor at all. The real story may be about who belongs in the monarchy's future and who does not. For years, royal watchers have focused on the visible tensions inside the royal family, whether involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, King Charles III evolving reign, or the increasing prominence of Catherine, Princess of Wales. Yet some of the most significant shifts inside the monarchy rarely happen during public speeches, balcony appearances, or carefully choreographed state occasions. Instead, they emerge through small decisions, quiet signals, and moments that appear insignificant until a larger pattern begins to take shape. That is precisely why this reported Windsor Castle incident has attracted so much attention. According to reports circulating among royal commentators, one of Queen Camilla's grandchildren was allegedly escorted from Windsor Castle following a decision linked to Prince William. Whether every detail of those reports can be independently verified remains open to debate, but the reaction surrounding the story has revealed something fascinating. The conversation quickly moved away from the grandson himself and toward a much larger question. Why would Prince William, the future king, feel the need to draw such a visible line at all? And perhaps even more importantly, why was Princess and reportedly comfortable enough with the situation to remain silent? Before we go further, think about that for a moment. If this were merely an awkward family misunderstanding, would so many royal observers be dissecting it weeks later? Or are people sensing that something deeper may be happening beneath the surface of the monarchy's carefully managed public image? That question takes us directly to the heart of Prince William's long-term vision. Over the past several years, Prince William has consistently signaled support for a leaner and more focused royal family. While King Charles III has also spoken about modernization, Prince William appears increasingly committed to a structure centered around working royals who have clearly defined constitutional roles. In practical terms, that means a monarchy built around Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis, and a relatively small group of senior royals carrying out official duties. The significance of that approach becomes clearer when considering Queen Camilla's family. Unlike members of the House of Windsor, Queen Camilla's children and grandchildren hold no royal titles, no constitutional responsibilities, and no formal role within the institution. Yet over time, Queen Camilla's relatives became familiar faces at certain family gatherings and royal celebrations. Their presence reflected King Charles III's desire to integrate Queen Camilla's family into his life and, by extension, into parts of the broader royal environment. For many years, that arrangement appeared to function smoothly. But what if Prince William views the situation differently? What if Prince William believes there must be a sharper distinction between family relationships and institutional responsibilities? Suddenly, the reported Windsor incident begins to look less like an isolated disagreement and more like a symbol of a broader strategy. And there is another layer that makes the story even more intriguing. Prince William's approach toward royal reform did not develop in isolation. The future king witnessed firsthand how public controversies can damage the monarchy's reputation. From the difficulties surrounding Prince Andrew to the ongoing challenges created by the departure of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from frontline royal duties, Prince William has repeatedly seen how personal relationships can evolve into institutional problems. Many commentators believe those experiences have strengthened Prince William's determination to create a more disciplined structure around the monarchy. If that interpretation is correct, then every decision regarding access, influence, and proximity to royal power takes on greater significance. Who attends major events? Who appears alongside senior royals? Who gains access to important royal residences? Who becomes part of the monarchy's public image? These questions may sound administrative, but within royal circles they often carry enormous symbolic weight. And that is exactly why Windsor Castle matters. Windsor is not simply another royal property. Windsor has increasingly become associated with Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, as they build the next chapter of royal leadership. Every gathering, every guest list, and every appearance there can send subtle messages about the future direction of the institution. So if boundaries are indeed being established at Windsor, are those boundaries really about one individual? Or are they about defining the shape of Prince William's future reign long before Prince William officially becomes king? That possibility becomes even more interesting when Princess Anne enters the picture. Because Princess Anne has spent decades earning a reputation as one of the monarchy's most respected and duty-focused figures. Princess Anne rarely participates in public drama, rarely comments on family disputes, and rarely attracts controversy. When Princess Anne remains silent, people tend to notice. Could Princess Anne's reported lack of intervention suggest quiet agreement with Prince William's thinking? Or was Princess Anne simply observing another family matter without seeing any reason to become involved? As we continue, an even bigger question begins to emerge, one that could have major implications for Queen Camilla, King Charles III, and the future balance of power inside the royal family. Because if Prince William is already shaping the monarchy in preparation for his eventual reign, then what happens when those plans begin affecting not just Queen Camilla's relatives, but other royal relationships as well? Before we uncover that next piece of the puzzle, make sure you subscribe and join our growing community, because the developments surrounding Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, King Charles III, Queen Camilla, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle are revealing a monarchy that may be changing faster than many people realize. And what happened next only made the entire situation far more complicated. What makes the story so compelling is that the reported Windsor Castle incident may not actually be about Queen Camilla's grandson at all. The deeper question is whether Prince William, the future king, has already begun preparing the monarchy for a future that looks very different from the one King Charles III envisioned. Because when royal observers started examining the timeline surrounding this situation, a striking pattern began to emerge. And once that pattern became visible, it became much harder to dismiss the Windsor episode as a simple family disagreement. For decades, one of King Charles III's most important personal goals was integrating Queen Camilla into the royal family. That challenge was never easy. Public opinion was deeply divided for years, and many people questioned whether Queen Camilla would ever be fully accepted within the institution. Yet King Charles III remained remarkably consistent. Through careful public appearances, charitable work, and a gradual rebuilding of trust, Queen Camilla moved from one of the monarchy's most controversial figures to a crowned queen standing beside King Charles III at Westminster Abbey. That transformation was extraordinary. However, there is an important distinction that many royal commentators now believe sits at the center of Prince William's thinking. Queen Camilla's acceptance was one thing. The permanent integration of Queen Camilla's wider family into the structure of the monarchy may be something entirely different. And that distinction changes everything. If Prince William truly views the monarchy primarily as a constitutional institution rather than an extended family network, then questions about access become far more significant. Who attends royal residences? Who participates in private gatherings? Who appears alongside senior royals during important moments? These may seem like small details, but within royal history, those details often reveal the future before official announcements ever do. So let me ask you something. If Prince William is already drawing boundaries around who belongs within the monarchy's inner circle, could Windsor Castle have been the first visible sign of a much larger restructuring taking place behind palace walls? Because the timing of all this is difficult to ignore. Over recent years, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, have steadily become the focal point of the monarchy's future. Public interest surrounding Kate Middleton remains enormous. Whenever Catherine, Princess of Wales, appears at an event, headlines immediately follow. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis represent the next generation of the House of Windsor. Meanwhile, King Charles III continues balancing royal responsibilities while managing ongoing health challenges. That reality naturally shifts attention toward the future king. And whenever attention shifts toward a future king, influence tends to shift as well. Royal institutions rarely transform overnight. Instead, power gradually migrates from one generation to the next. Decisions become less about the present monarch and more about preparing the environment for the monarch who will eventually inherit the crown. Many observers believe that process is already underway. What makes this particularly fascinating is that Prince William has repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to prioritize institutional stability over personal comfort. Whether discussing controversies involving Prince Andrew or broader questions surrounding public trust in the monarchy, Prince William has developed a reputation for favoring decisive action when reputation is at stake. That reputation matters here. Because if Prince William was willing to support difficult decisions involving senior members of the royal family, what would prevent Prince William from applying the same logic to individuals who possess no constitutional role within the monarchy at all? Suddenly, the Windsor Castle story starts looking less emotional and more strategic. And if that interpretation is correct, another question immediately emerges. What does Queen Camilla think about all of this? Publicly, Queen Camilla and Prince William have appeared cordial and professional. Both understand the importance of presenting unity. Both understand the scrutiny that follows every interaction. Yet royal relationships often operate on multiple levels simultaneously. Public cooperation does not necessarily reveal private opinions. The history connecting Prince William and Queen Camilla is unusually complex. Prince William was old enough to witness the turmoil surrounding the marriage of King Charles III and Princess Diana. Prince William experienced those years not as a historian reading a chapter in a book, but as a son living through one of the most scrutinized family dramas in modern history. While time can soften tensions and duty can encourage cooperation, history does not simply disappear. That reality is impossible to ignore when evaluating the future relationship between Prince William and Queen Camilla. Now consider another element that many viewers may not have fully considered. Eventually, whenever the reign of King Charles III comes to an end, Queen Camilla's position will inevitably change. Queen Camilla's status, household arrangements, public responsibilities, and role within the institution will all enter a new phase. At that point, Prince William will not merely be Prince William, the future king. Prince William will be the king. And kings determine priorities. Kings determine access. Kings determine structure. Kings determine who occupies influential positions within royal life. Can you begin to see why some royal commentators believe the reported Windsor Castle incident attracted so much attention? The story may have offered a glimpse into future decision-making long before that future officially arrives. Yet there is another figure whose presence may be even more revealing than Prince William or Queen Camilla. That figure is Princess Anne. Throughout decades of royal service, Princess Anne has cultivated a reputation unlike almost anyone else within the royal family. Princess Anne rarely seeks publicity. Princess Anne rarely participates in palace intrigue. Princess Anne has built credibility through relentless commitment to duty rather than through carefully managed headlines. Which is precisely why reports describing Princess Anne's apparent lack of objection generated so much discussion. Because within royal circles, silence can sometimes speak louder than speeches. If Princess Anne genuinely believed Prince William was acting irresponsibly, many commentators argue that Princess Anne would likely have communicated concern privately. Princess Anne may never create public drama, but Princess Anne has never been known for quietly accepting decisions viewed as harmful to the institution. So what does Princess Anne's reported reaction tell us? Does Princess Anne support Prince William's long-term vision? Does Princess Anne believe a smaller monarchy is necessary? Or was Princess Anne simply observing events without assigning deeper meaning to them? The answers remain uncertain, which only makes the story more intriguing. And there is one final detail that deserves attention before moving forward. Royal transitions are often described as smooth, ceremonial processes marked by tradition and continuity. Yet history shows that every transition also involves negotiation, adjustment, and sometimes conflict. New reigns bring new priorities. New priorities create new alliances. New alliances inevitably produce winners and losers. If Prince William is already beginning that process, then the reported Windsor Castle incident may represent only the earliest stage of a much broader transformation. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and join the conversation, because the next development introduces an even bigger question involving King Charles III himself. Because if Prince William is actively shaping the monarchy's future, where exactly does King Charles III stand on these changes? And has the current monarch quietly approved more than the public realizes? That question would soon take the story in an entirely unexpected direction. If the Windsor Castle incident raised questions about Prince William's vision for the future, the next part of the story raises an even more sensitive issue. Because once royal observers began looking beyond the reported removal itself, attention shifted toward a subject that Buckingham Palace rarely discusses openly: what happens to Queen Camilla's position when the reign of King Charles III eventually comes to an end? And when that question enters the conversation, the entire situation begins to look very different. For years, Queen Camilla's place within the monarchy has been tied directly to King Charles III. That is not criticism, it is simply constitutional reality. Queen Camilla's status, influence, responsibilities, and public role all stem from King Charles III's reign. As long as King Charles III sits on the throne, Queen Camilla remains one of the most powerful figures inside the royal family. Yet every royal reign eventually reaches a transition point, and many commentators believe Prince William is already thinking several moves ahead. That possibility alone changes how many people interpret recent developments. Think about it carefully. If Prince William is preparing for a future monarchy centered around Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, where exactly does Queen Camilla's wider family fit into that picture? More importantly, does Prince William believe Queen Camilla's relatives should have any ongoing connection to the institution once Prince William becomes king? Those are uncomfortable questions, but they are questions that royal historians have begun asking with increasing frequency. And here is where the story becomes even more fascinating. One of the most overlooked aspects of modern royal life is the difference between personal relationships and institutional relationships. King Charles III may care deeply about Queen Camilla's children and grandchildren. King Charles III may enjoy family gatherings that include members of the Parker Bowles family. King Charles III may see those relationships as completely natural extensions of family life. But institutions do not always operate according to personal feelings. Prince William, the future king, has repeatedly demonstrated an instinct for separating emotional considerations from institutional priorities. Whether discussing public accountability, royal duties, or the long-term reputation of the monarchy, Prince William often appears focused on sustainability rather than sentiment. If that assessment is accurate, then the reported Windsor Castle incident may represent more than a disagreement over access. The reported Windsor Castle incident may represent Prince William signaling that future royal structures will be based on constitutional relevance rather than personal association. And if that is true, what message does that send to everyone currently connected to the monarchy through marriage, friendship, or historical proximity? That question becomes impossible to ignore once another timeline enters the discussion. Many royal watchers noticed that certain gatherings over recent years appeared increasingly focused on core members of the House of Windsor. Public appearances became more concentrated. Responsibilities became more centralized. Attention became increasingly directed toward Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. At the same time, conversations about a streamlined monarchy became more frequent. None of these developments individually prove anything, but together, those developments create a pattern. And royal institutions communicate through patterns. A single invitation means little. A series of invitations can reveal strategy. A single absence means little. A series of absences can reveal priorities. A single decision means little. A series of decisions can reveal an entire philosophy. So when commentators connect reports involving Windsor Castle to broader discussions about a smaller monarchy, many believe they are witnessing pieces of the same puzzle gradually falling into place. Now let me ask you something. If Prince William is genuinely committed to creating a streamlined monarchy, who else could eventually find themselves outside the inner circle? Could future boundaries extend beyond Queen Camilla's family? Could the monarchy continue shrinking as Prince William assumes greater influence? And how would the public react if those changes become more visible? Those questions matter because every restructuring produces consequences. Some people gain influence. Some people lose influence. Some people discover that relationships they once considered permanent were actually tied to a specific moment in history. And that brings us to a figure whose role remains remarkably important despite rarely dominating headlines. King Charles III, because there is a possibility that often gets overlooked in discussions like this. What if Prince William is not acting against King Charles III's wishes at all? What if King Charles III understands exactly what is happening? Royal coverage frequently frames events as struggles between generations, but monarchies often function through negotiation rather than confrontation. It is entirely possible that King Charles III recognizes the challenges facing the institution and understands why Prince William wants clearer boundaries. It is equally possible that King Charles III privately disagrees with certain decisions, but believes preserving unity is more important than winning internal debates. The truth is that outsiders rarely see those conversations, yet the absence of visible resistance is notable. Because if Prince William's influence were expanding in ways unacceptable to King Charles III, most observers would expect at least some sign of friction. Instead, public appearances continue. Joint engagements continue. Official messaging continues emphasizing stability and continuity. Could that suggest cooperation rather than conflict? Or does it simply reflect the monarchy's determination to keep disagreements behind closed doors? Once again, the uncertainty makes the story even more compelling. And then there is Catherine, Princess of Wales. Many discussions about royal power focus almost entirely on kings, queens, and heirs. Yet Kate Middleton's growing popularity may be one of the most significant factors shaping the monarchy's future. Public affection for Catherine, Princess of Wales, remains exceptionally strong. The Princess of Wales represents continuity, stability, and the next generation of royal leadership in a way few public figures can match. That popularity gives Prince William additional momentum, because every future monarchy requires not only constitutional legitimacy but also public support. Prince William possesses the constitutional position. Catherine, Princess of Wales, provides enormous public goodwill. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis represent continuity. Taken together, that creates a powerful foundation for the future, which raises another intriguing possibility. Could Prince William already be building the environment that Prince George will eventually inherit? Because when future kings think strategically, they rarely think only about their own reign. Future kings often think about the reign that follows. If Prince William wants a smaller monarchy, perhaps Prince William is not merely preparing for the next decade. Perhaps Prince William is preparing for the next generation. That interpretation would make recent developments far more significant than many people initially realized. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe and join our growing community, because the next chapter introduces the person who may understand this entire transition better than anyone else inside the royal family. While headlines focus on Prince William, King Charles III, and Queen Camilla, another royal figure has spent decades quietly watching power shift from one generation to another. And according to many observers, Princess Anne's role in this story may reveal more than any official statement ever could. Because Princess Anne's silence may not simply be silence at all. What makes Princess Anne such a fascinating figure in this story is not what Princess Anne says, but what Princess Anne chooses not to say. In a royal family where every public appearance is analyzed, every gesture is dissected, and every relationship becomes the subject of endless speculation, Princess Anne has spent decades mastering a completely different form of influence. Princess Anne rarely gives dramatic interviews. Princess Anne rarely fuels headlines. Princess Anne rarely participates in public disputes. Yet many royal observers believe that when Princess Anne silently observes something, that silence often carries more weight than a dozen official statements. And that is precisely why reports surrounding the Windsor Castle incident became so intriguing. Because according to accounts discussed by royal commentators, Princess Anne was reportedly aware of what was happening and did not intervene. Whether every detail of those reports can be independently confirmed remains a separate question, but the perception itself became part of the story. Suddenly, attention shifted away from Queen Camilla's grandson and toward a much larger issue. If Princess Anne, one of the most respected figures within the monarchy, was comfortable allowing Prince William's decision to stand, what does that suggest about how Princess Anne views the future direction of the institution? To understand why that question matters, it is important to understand who Princess Anne has become within the modern royal family. Unlike many public figures whose influence comes from popularity, Princess Anne's influence comes from credibility. For decades, Princess Anne has built a reputation centered on duty, consistency, and discipline. While other royal figures experience dramatic rises and falls in public approval, Princess Anne remained remarkably steady. Year after year, Princess Anne continued carrying out engagements, representing the crown, supporting charitable organizations, and maintaining a level of dedication that even critics of the monarchy often acknowledge. That reputation gives Princess Anne a unique perspective. Princess Anne witnessed the reign of Queen Elizabeth II from the inside. Princess Anne witnessed the transformation of King Charles III from Prince of Wales into monarch. Princess Anne witnessed the turbulent years involving Princess Diana, the controversies surrounding Prince Andrew, the departure of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and the growing emergence of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales as the future face of the institution. Very few people possess that kind of historical perspective, which leads to a fascinating possibility. Perhaps Princess Anne recognizes something that many observers are only beginning to see. Perhaps Princess Anne understands that every monarchy eventually reaches a moment when adaptation becomes unavoidable. Because despite all the discussions about tradition, royal history is actually filled with change. The monarchy survives not because it remains identical generation after generation, but because each generation finds ways to adjust to new realities. Different monarchs bring different priorities. Different heirs bring different philosophies. Different eras demand different approaches. Could Prince William simply be representing the next phase of that evolution? And if Prince William is representing that evolution, could Princess Anne believe that resisting change would ultimately create greater problems than accepting it? Those questions become even more interesting when considering the contrast between King Charles III and Prince William. King Charles III has often been associated with a broader and more inclusive vision of family life. Throughout much of King Charles III's public journey, personal relationships have played a visible role in shaping the royal environment. Queen Camilla's integration into royal life reflected that approach. Efforts to maintain family connections reflected that approach. Even during periods of controversy, King Charles III often appeared willing to balance institutional concerns with personal loyalties. Prince William appears different. Many commentators describe Prince William as more focused on structure, efficiency, and public legitimacy. Prince William often seems less interested in preserving arrangements simply because those arrangements have existed for years. Instead, Prince William appears increasingly willing to ask a direct question. Does this relationship strengthen the monarchy's future, or does it complicate it? That distinction may explain why the reported Windsor Castle incident generated such intense discussion. Because if Prince William is evaluating people primarily through the lens of institutional relevance, then emotional considerations may carry less weight than they did during previous eras. Now consider how that perspective might affect Queen Camilla. For Queen Camilla, the journey from public controversy to queen consort was one of the most remarkable transformations in modern royal history. Few people would have predicted such an outcome during the difficult years of the 1990s. Yet Queen Camilla achieved that transformation through patience, resilience, and the unwavering support of King Charles III. But here is the crucial point. Queen Camilla's success does not automatically guarantee long-term influence for Queen Camilla's extended family. Those are two separate questions. Prince William may fully respect Queen Camilla's role as queen while simultaneously believing that Queen Camilla's wider family should occupy a more limited position within the monarchy's future structure. And if that is indeed Prince William's position, then the reported Windsor Castle episode starts looking less like a personal dispute and more like a declaration of institutional priorities. Let me ask you something. If Prince William eventually becomes king, and continues moving toward a smaller monarchy, who benefits most from that strategy? Does a streamlined royal family strengthen public trust by creating clearer roles and responsibilities? Or does reducing the number of people connected to royal life risk making the institution appear less inclusive and less adaptable? The answer may determine how historians eventually judge Prince William's reign. Because every royal reform creates both advantages and challenges. A smaller monarchy may reduce confusion. A smaller monarchy may reduce controversy. A smaller monarchy may improve efficiency. But a smaller monarchy also concentrates power, visibility, and responsibility among fewer individuals. And that reality brings us directly to Catherine, Princess of Wales. The increasing prominence of Kate Middleton is impossible to separate from discussions about the monarchy's future. Public enthusiasm surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, remains exceptionally strong across multiple generations. The Princess of Wales has become one of the institution's most valuable public assets, and many observers believe Prince William's future plans depend heavily on the stability and popularity that Catherine, Princess of Wales, provides. In many ways, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, represent a new royal center of gravity. As attention gradually shifts away from older generations and toward future leadership, every decision begins to revolve around that emerging center. Who gains access to it? Who remains close to it? Who becomes part of its long-term vision? Those questions may explain far more than any single reported incident ever could. And there is one final element that makes the story particularly significant. The monarchy is currently navigating a period unlike any other in recent decades. King Charles III continues fulfilling royal responsibilities while managing health concerns. Queen Camilla faces her own evolving role. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle remain outside the working royal structure. Prince George is steadily growing closer to the age where public expectations will increase. Meanwhile, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, continue moving toward the responsibilities that await them. In other words, this is not simply a story about one reported event at Windsor Castle. This is a story about transition, a transition of generations, a transition of influence, a transition of priorities, and whenever transitions occur inside royal institutions, seemingly minor moments often reveal the most important truths. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and join the conversation, because the final chapter of this story may be the most revealing of all. Because once the discussion moves beyond Queen Camilla, beyond Princess, and even beyond Windsor Castle itself, one unavoidable question remains. Is Prince William quietly preparing the monarchy for a future that has already begun? And if so, how far is Prince William willing to go to reshape the royal family once the crown finally rests on Prince William's head? But perhaps the most important thing to understand about this entire story is that the reported Windsor Castle incident is not really forcing people to choose between Prince William and Queen Camilla. Instead, the incident is forcing royal watchers to confront a much larger question about the future of the monarchy itself. Because when institutions survive for centuries, the greatest challenges rarely come from dramatic public confrontations. The greatest challenges come from moments of transition, when one generation quietly begins replacing the assumptions of another. And that may be exactly what we are witnessing now. For much of King Charles III's life, the monarchy operated through a delicate balance between tradition, family relationships, and public expectations. King Charles III spent decades navigating those competing pressures. Queen Camilla's remarkable rise from one of the most controversial figures in Britain to Queen Consort reflected that balancing act. The inclusion of Queen Camilla's family reflected that balancing act. Even the effort to maintain relationships across a complicated royal family reflected that balancing act. Prince William, however, may be approaching the future from a different perspective. Many commentators increasingly describe Prince William, the future king, as someone focused less on preserving existing arrangements and more on defining clear institutional boundaries. In that framework, questions are not necessarily personal. Questions become structural. Who serves a constitutional purpose? Who contributes to the monarchy's public mission? Who strengthens public confidence in the institution? And once those questions become the priority, entirely different decisions can follow. That is why the reported Windsor Castle episode continues generating discussion long after the event itself. The symbolism matters. Windsor Castle is not merely a residence. Windsor Castle represents continuity, authority, and increasingly, the center of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales's future royal world. If boundaries are being established there, many observers believe those boundaries may offer clues about what Prince William's monarchy could eventually look like. Now let me ask you something. If Prince William truly intends to build a smaller and more focused monarchy, will the public welcome that change? Or will some people view that approach as too restrictive? After all, the modern royal family exists partly because people feel connected to the personalities behind the institution. If the circle becomes smaller, does the monarchy become stronger, or does it risk becoming more distant? Those are questions that no palace advisor can answer with certainty. And perhaps that uncertainty explains why Princess Anne's reported role continues attracting attention. Princess Anne has spent decades watching royal transitions unfold. Princess Anne witnessed the later years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Princess Anne watched King Charles III prepare for the throne. Princess Anne now watches Prince William gradually emerge as the defining figure of the monarchy's future. If Princess Anne truly views Prince William's actions with quiet approval, then some royal commentators believe Princess Anne may see the current transition not as a disruption, but as a necessary evolution. Yet there remains one final mystery. What does King Charles III really think? Publicly, King Charles III continues performing royal duties and remains the reigning monarch. Publicly, Queen Camilla continues supporting King Charles III. Publicly, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, continue carrying out major responsibilities while preparing for greater ones ahead. But behind those public appearances, conversations are undoubtedly taking place about the future. Discussions about succession. Discussions about priorities. Discussions about what kind of institution Prince William will eventually inherit. And perhaps the reported Windsor Castle incident matters because it offered the public a rare glimpse into those conversations without anyone actually speaking. In the royal world, symbols often reveal more than statements. A guest list can send a message. A seating arrangement can send a message. An invitation can send a message. And according to many royal observers, the reported events at Windsor Castle may have sent one of the clearest messages yet about where the monarchy could be heading next. As this story continues to develop, one thing seems increasingly clear. The debate is no longer just about Queen Camilla's family. The debate is about Prince William's future monarchy. The debate is about whether Prince William intends to create a leaner institution centered around Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis, and a carefully defined group of working royals. Most importantly, the debate is about how much change can occur before the public fully realizes that change is happening. Before we finish, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because stories involving Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, King Charles III, Queen Camilla, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the future of the royal family are evolving faster than ever, and we will continue following every major development. And now the question comes to you. Do you believe the reported Windsor Castle incident was simply an isolated family matter that has been blown out of proportion? Or do you believe the reported Windsor Castle incident revealed something much larger about Prince William's plans for the future of the monarchy? Is Prince William merely protecting the institution, or is Prince William already reshaping it? And if Prince William is reshaping it, how far do you think Prince William is willing to go once Prince William finally becomes king? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Because this story may be about Windsor Castle today, but the real answer could determine the future direction of the royal family for decades to come.